This video is part 2 of Networking Basics for Audio Architect. Other topics are covered in subsequent videos. Terms and information from Networking Basics theory will be referenced, so make sure you've seen that video before starting this video. Basic network familiarity and the ability to configure your computer to connect to a network is required to use Audio Architect online to configure and control Harman HiQNet devices. Before you go online with Audio Architect, it is good practice that everything is tested and a known working piece of gear, or at least the last time used. In order to put going online and networking into perspective, these practical aspects of the OSI 7-layer model must be considered. Connection to devices is dependent upon the physical connection of the Ethernet ports. The link activity LED on an Ethernet port reflects the status of the physical Ethernet connection between the device on the other end of the Ethernet cable, typically a switch, HiQNet devices, or your computer. This LED will come on if both devices are powered up, cable is wired correctly and inserted securely on both ends, and the Ethernet port is enabled and agree on Ethernet settings. When the activity LED is blinking, there is activity on this Ethernet connection. This LED makes it very easy to know whether you have network connectivity. No light equals no work. Every device and network interface card, which I'll refer to as a NIC for the remainder of this tutorial, has a unique MAC hardware address supplied by the manufacturer and allows devices to uniquely identify themselves on a network. This MAC address cannot be changed. All devices and the control computer NIC must be configured on the same IP address network to communicate with each other. All new Harman devices are shipped with DHCP enabled, not with a default static IP address. DHCP stands for Dynamic Host Configuration Protocol and allows a device to join a network by assigning a unique IP address to it, instead of manually pre-configuring the device IP address for a network without duplicating a node ID. To benefit from this feature of HiQNet devices, simply ensure that there is a DHCP device on the network, such as a wireless router that you'd be using for motion control. Configuring device IP addresses manually or restoring them to use DHCP to obtain an IP address is covered in the NetSetter tutorial video. To verify the IP address of your computer, you may use the command prompt. Select the Start menu and then type CMD in the Search Programs and Files box. Hit Enter and type ipconfig, IPCONFIG, all lowercase, into the command prompt. Hit Enter. Information regarding the IP address configuration of your computer is listed. We're interested in the IPv4 address, or Internet Protocol version 4, and the subnet mask. The IPv4 address and subnet mask are the current settings of your computer's NIC. It's important to make sure that these are configured to work on the HiQNet network correctly, or you won't be able to connect with any devices with Audio Architect. To assign the IP address and subnet mask of your computer manually, or to set it to acquire an IP address automatically with DHCP, you will need to launch the network settings for the computer. In Windows 7, the control computer's NIC is configured through Control Panel, Network and Sharing. Select the NIC adapter or network, and in the Local Area Connection Status window, select Properties, then double-click on the Internet Protocol version 4. This is where you either type in a static IP address or select Obtain an IP address automatically for DHCP or Auto IP. Audio Architect uses port 3804 to communicate HiQNet control data to devices on the session layer, which is layer 5. All of this communication between HiQNet devices via port 3804 may be mistaken for a virus attack, and you may need to disable any antivirus software for your computer to communicate with HiQNet devices properly. Both File Transfer Protocol, or FTP, and Trivial File Transfer Protocol, or TFTP, are used to communicate with devices on the network by Audio Architect. For this, ports 20, 21, and 69 are required. Firewall settings on your computer may need to be changed to open these ports, or the firewall shut off altogether to allow communication with devices. There are a lot of considerations outside of Audio Architect with networking that need to be taken care of before pressing the Go Online button in the ribbon. These practical aspects of preparation to go online with devices must be handled first, especially IP address network and physical Ethernet cable network. This will eliminate variables for troubleshooting connectivity later when trying to communicate with devices.